On today's show, we wind back to 2016 and continue our look back on the 2015-16 World Series Sprintcars season. This week, we look back at highlights from Round 7 of Brisbane's Archerfield Speedway, Round 8 of Murray Bridge in South Australia, and Round 9 from the Perth Motorplex. Then we stay in 2016 and head to the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit in Victoria as we look back on the opening round of the 2016 Motorsport Australia Endurance Championship, the Phillip Island 101. This is Speedweek.
The last round of NZ World Series Sprintcars was a thriller. He's pulled up on the cushion. Is he undoing his belt?
Belts are undone.
Oh, this is so dramatic before the race has even begun.
4 laps to go. Blow and left rear for Luke Dillon. Murcott goes as wide as he can to come in tight and gets the slider on Jamie Field with 1 lap to go.
After the brutality of USC Speedweek, the NZ World Series teams have travelled north to Brisbane. This event doubles as the Australian Open, which gives us our longest A-main of the season. A grueling 50-lap journey where managing traffic is always the key. Can the World Series stars handle the local Queensland crew? We're about to find out tonight. Oh, and did I mention? Donny Schatz is here. A very tight and demanding speedway, this one. It's Archerfield Speedway, quarter mile long, hosting yet another round of NZ World Series Sprintcars. Our coverage is supported by High Tech Oils. We are into the B main. 50 laps in the A beckons. This one's a lot shorter, and that is how the grid will look. Luke Oldfield, one of the local stars, has the front row alongside a guy who's from the complete other side of the country, another West Aussie towards the back in this 13-car B main.
Interesting stuff for the live wire. Luke Oldfield, watch him from the front. Daniel Harding on his outside. Good to see DJ Darren Jensen, a former contractor driver in there, coming out of 3. Brian Mann on his inside as well. This is going to be a little bit desperate for that guy. Ryan Jones right in the middle of the 3. And once again, the Boss Hog Steakhouse car number 28 in all sorts of trouble. Callum Walker.
A great start, Callum Walker. Picked up 2 or 3 guys in that first lap. Starting towards the back. Remember, we only take the top 6.
Someone's turned around.
Speaking of Callum Walker, I think that might be him facing the wrong way outside turn 4. So that's disappointing. It's not. There he is circulating down the back. It's Jason Pride. So what happened here to one of our local boys? We check out a replay. Darren Jensen, former contracted star. Andrew Wright, former contracted star from last season. And this is how tight it can be at the beginning of a B. So Pride will go to the back. Got Ryan Jones in this one as well, who's sitting outside the transfers as we go green once more.
So what we're looking for is who's going to make it inside that top 6. That's where the battle will be for that 6th position at the moment. And Jones just trying to come to terms with this, his first appearance here. And again, car number 28, all sorts of issues. He's not been able to get a handle on that, despite getting a few wins over in his native New Zealand. Alan Woods, right, goes up high, tries to get around the outside of Rawlings, but here's the battle towards the front now. Darren Jensen, the KRE Engines entry, getting around Daniel Harding.
So these guys all safely locked into the A-main so far. If you finish inside the top 6, you tack onto the back of tonight's A-main. Very simple. So if you're outside the top 6, you need to pass some cars. Brian Jones is in that list, one of our contractor boys in World Series.
Right, trying to stick up the high side there and just flirting with putting his left rear on what is a little bit of a cushion developing there, but now he goes up way too high, up into the heavy stuff. But hey, that was intentional. Beautiful move as he pulls the switch back on Harding. Harding returns serve, hasn't quite got the momentum on the low side, and Wright holds on. They had plenty of stoushes last year. They continue it on in 2015-16.
This is awesome. Harding onto the bottom of the racetrack. Wright committed to the top, but Harding has managed to fight his way back through. Andrew Wright out of Muswellbrook in New South Wales. Now Harding, the West Aussie, tucked up behind one of the local drivers here, Darren Jensen. He's done a lot of running with World Series in the past.
Jones, first time here at Archerfield. Never seen this racetrack before prior to last night, and really, it's not the easiest place to come to terms with, and it's probably one of those races on the tour, Chad, that is really renowned for that hometown advantage. Look, this battle continues now between Wright and Harding. Wright's got a bit of drive as he comes out of two. The narrowest of gaps for him to be able to pull it out. Drives a little bit high, but man, oh gee, how tight is Harding down there on the bottom?
He's got him. This is awesome to watch. Both guys, like we said, locked into the A already. I guess you can still fight for where you start in that A main. Got one crawling around the inside of turns 3 and 4 right now, but manages to get it to the infield. So we stay green at the moment. Callum Walker now has actually managed to find his way up into a transfer spot. So he started towards the back, the former Australian Kart Championship racer at a junior level. Only recently made the step into sprint cars as he's just 17 years of age. Looks like he might be able to make tonight's A-main.
The battle continues for Luke Oldfield now as he rounds up the back of car number 49, Ryan Jones. And this is a bit of a battle now. Jones trying to get under the 8th spot there of Toowoomba's own David Well. Not sure if he's going to have the momentum down the bottom there. He may as they come into one. Yep, well and truly.
That's the leader forcing his way through. He's in a rush tonight. Luke Oldfield. This is a really cool drive for him and a great opportunity to be in the Titan car. That is the car that won World Series back in 2002, 2003 with Darren Pittman at the wheel. And he goes to the outside of Ryan Jones. This is to put him a lap down on the last lap.
You're finally starting to show some form with his first win in the combination with Titan Racing. So Luke Oldfield gets the win and tags himself onto the back of the A main along with the other 5. Mann, Jensen, Wright, Harding and Walker all make the show.
The hard part is he's got to do it again because we've got still to come tonight that 50-lap A main. Those guys that didn't make the top 6 trying to pack it up into the truck. Big crowd on that hill in the background. Cool spot to watch Speedway from. We go 4 wide in tonight's A main. NZ World Series Sprintcars. Plenty of these beautiful Shannon's insurance onboards to watch out for. Who is going to win the Australian Open? 20 grand is up for grabs. 50 laps though. Let's cross down to Bryony for her final thoughts.
Let's take a quick look at our front row. Stephen Lyons, he has not won a World Series race yet this series. Could this be his night? 50 laps, time will tell. He hasn't made any changes to that car since the shootout, although his crew reckon that the car is a little bit bent after that altercation, so it's going to be a handful for him. Starting on pole position, Brooke Tatnall. He has 2 World Series wins this series, but he has not won here at Brisbane in 6 years. They've tightened up the W2 machine since the shootout. His crew believe that obviously the car will be a handful at the start, but when the track goes away, Brooke will be in his element come the end of the 50 laps.
Thank you, Bryony. Ever since I was a little kid, I always get excited when I see that bloke run across the track, putting the start line down, because you know that we're about to go green. The A-main, it's one of the best parts about any form of motorsport in the world. This is NZ World Series Sprint Cars. This is dirt track racing. This is the Australian Open.
Beautiful start by Tatnall too, right on the cusp of probably being a little bit too advantageous. Oh, okay.
There it is. Yep.
Maybe
he called that one because the yellows are on. That means everyone hold back. Just like we saw at Warrnambool in the A-main there. So everyone drives down to some of the cooler mud down the bottom already. A bit early for saving the tyres. Hey, it all counts in 50 laps. Remember, heavy fuel tanks as well, Bish. These cars are going to be tight for the first 10 laps. Tight means that they do not like to turn.
Keep in mind too that last night with the heat laps and all of that, like Donnie was saying earlier, Donnie Schatz was really essentially using last night as an experiment for how much these tyres, this right rear Hoosier that he's running that he's not used to, how much can it handle? He got through last night and was ready to run again. So that is sort of sorted. He can have that confidence that the tyres can handle it. They are set to go. We're off again. This time it's going to be a little bit more even, and Lyons has taken full advantage of knowing that Tatnall is going to take it easy. In the meantime, though, he's going to try him on the back straight. Can Lyons make a lunge? He goes high.
That's the Scandinavian flick style rally as they turn into turn 4. Shots on the bottom, stuck in behind a local hero and Andrew Shirley. Close racing here as Sides gets hung out to dry. He's got Brad Sweet trying to follow him through in the 99.
Yeah, a handful of Americans there as Brian Mann just has to put the hankers on pretty hard as he goes into 3. Man, they're tight.
Man's tight with a few at the moment. He's got a tight race car as he sits it on the bottom in turns 1 and turn 2. All cams. at both sides of the speedways. Madsen makes his move to the low side of Stephen Lyons.
Is this going to be it, man? He's got a launch here. Tatnall can feel it. It's getting out of his hands, but Tatnall just closes the door. Just leaves it that little bit later to get on the anchors as he goes into 3 and 4, but now Manson has taken what I thought Tatnall would be able to hold on to. Tatnall does not look like he's in a rhythm at all, Chad.
And he's going to have bigger problems here with Lyons and Hurst trying to get back at him as Tatnall goes to the bottom. Kerry Madsen won a preliminary A-main at the Australian title here a few years ago, driving the Cricky Hot Rod. So here he has just passed it for the lead in essentially his own team's car from America. It is tight between our front 4 guys.
Yeah, wow. Hurst is just looming, isn't he? Just waiting to see how this is going to play out as well. Dylan's in there, just getting a little bit of a right front wheel stand as it comes out of 2 there for Lyons. So nobody's just choosing a line and sticking to it at the moment. It's very, I guess, erratic is the only thing I can think of. There's 43 laps to go. A very familiar scene right here at Archerfield Speedway, and that is of Donny's shots in car number 15 on the tail tank of the Ausdeck Padios entry of 3-time Queensland champion Andrew Shirley. Shirley leaves the gap open for him, but oh man, shots, how much drive does he have down the front straight? Now he's on the back of the Westralian Diamond Drillers, car number 25 of McFadden. Man, surely he couldn't get him in one lap.
Now he's on the bottom, so had to go around the top of Andrew Shirley. Seems like he could put that car just about anywhere. Remember, he managed to win the prelim last night from starting a couple rows back. He's trying to do it again tonight. We watched Donny at work. So honoured to have a guy of his experience in Australia. Wow, Big Slide actually got the job done on the inside of James McFadden. Those two put on a great show in the Australian Open a few years ago when J-Mac won his last World Series title. And the leader is in traffic.
He still refers to that as one of his career highlights, being able to outdo shots on night. And ironically, like you say, Chad, he came from 7th last night. Shots came from 7th tonight. So he's going to be able to get the job done. Seems like he's got more time to do it, but not making as much ground quite as quickly.
Probably need a few caution flags if he's going to rein this guy back in, because he's... Oh, that was close. Oldfield and right. And it was right in front of the leader. So Kerry had a pretty good view of that one. He'll want to get rid of these two pretty quick.
You try and dispose of them because that's just going to be a distraction. You can imagine that Tatnall will be just watching this from a bit of a distance back, grabs the tear off, cleans things up because he's got pretty dirty air at the moment.
On the bottom of the track, still hasn't got past Oldfield, has to be really patient. He rolled off the throttle almost halfway down the main straight. He's got past the Titan car now. We go to the top of Andrew Wright. Can he get the job done? You need so much trust if you use the top of the racetrack here, hoping that the other driver knows that you're there, and Tatnall's closing because of this. Here he is. Car number 2, TEH number 2, trying to get to the low side of Luke Oldfield.
Madsen just being very methodical about this. He'll come up on the tail tank of Darren Jensen, a former contracted driver. And gee, he's not getting around Andrew Wright as quickly as we sort of thought, but now he seems to have disposed of him. But Wright's just really good down the bottom, isn't he? I think Jensen's going to just play the leader, I guess, as to how to get through at the moment. 32 laps remain in a massive 52-lap race. This time he's on the back of Jensen. Can he go around the outside? Man, it's a lot slower up there than you think. But this time he gets the job done.
Gets it done. Tatnall trying to stay with him. Brian Mann to the bottom of Luke Oldfield now in that 16. Got quick time here a couple years ago. The names who have taken quick time here are pretty cool. Rico Abreu, current reigning Chili Bowl winner, managed to get a quick time award in the last few years. Man is right up on that pole line trying to get underneath Andrew Wright at the moment. Gee, not a lot of room out there in 50 laps.
It's one thing to get quick time, it's another thing to convert that to a win, and I think Donny's done that 4 times. Brooks only done it twice, where you're the quickest at the start of the event and then go on to win that A feature. We go on board with Dave Murcott, thanks to Shannon's Insurance.
His left elbow poking out. Oh, man, how's the sound of that thing as he rolls off it?
Certainly not consistent in their throttle at all. It's just trying to find your way around at the moment as they start to spread out a little bit.
Oh, there's the moment Madsen gets into the back of Jason Sides. Lucky to get away with that one. Oh, and Sides hits the inside pole line and lifts the whole left rear of that car up. But that could have been a big moment for the leader. Meanwhile, further back, Shots has that rear wing pulled right back. It's getting slick out there. Look how high that wing's sitting.
Yeah, starting to flatten up too. Notice that he's running more of a World of Outlaws style wing with that flat top as opposed to all of the other Australian drivers, apart from Kerry Madsen, who's running the flat style wing without the dish.
Halfway through, half to go. No sign of a caution flag yet. So first half of the race has been in green flag conditions. Madsen putting on a bit of a display here. We talked about it earlier. Well, we saw Johnny Gibson talk about it earlier when he said that Donny Schatz has been here in the past and lapped the entire field in a 50-lap race. I don't think Madsen's quite going to get that far tonight. He can't even get around the sides, and he sends him to the infield. Just pushes the American out of the way. Says, move. I am the leader. I need you gone.
That was aggressive. That was aggressive. You've got to wonder if that's going to get a little bit of a mention back at the pits later on. Meanwhile, Schatz gets around his fellow countryman in Kyle Hurst without any argument about that at all. He's on a charge, isn't he? Schatz, can he do it? Can he come back from the same place that he was in last night? 7th. Just not moving up as quickly. Now he comes around the outside of right for the second time.
He's getting momentum, Benny. He's starting to build. Here's Dylan working the low side of the racetrack. He's been towards the front in preliminary A-mains in the Australian Open before, but we've never seen him take a big win here. He's about to get lapped by the leader because they are approaching in a hurry. 20 to go.
Now we're starting to get down to what is sort of those numbers where they are hoping the car is going to come to them. The setup's going to come to them now, but at the moment, Madsen doesn't look like he's going to be stopped at all. Rounds up Lockie McHugh and the Castrol back car number 23. There's something still down the bottom there, but Madsen just committed to the high line at the moment as you can see the tail tank now of the Diamond Bay Motorsport car number 26, Luke Dillon.
The exit of turn 4 gets lower and lower in this race historically. It almost goes all the way down to the concrete. They really push the limits of how low they can get. Hurst, Lyons, and also McFadden were all racing just outside the podium spots there. Schatz is on a charge though. Trying to chase down Brooke Tatnell, who sits a few cars ahead of these guys. To the bottom of Darren Jensen. It's tight down the bottom at turn 2. Up the hill he races, down the back straight, gets that job done. He's within a car away of the 9-time champ Brooke Tatnell.
So as Schatz crosses the line, Madsen is your leader, Tatnell second, Schatz now in hot pursuit. There is 15 laps remaining in this, the 20th running of the Australian Open. Lyons straight under Musselbrooks. Andrew Wright. Gee, Lyons, he just hasn't looked comfortable this whole, 38 laps so far. Only 12 remain in this.
I was going to say this whole week hasn't quite been up to the standards where he would have liked as Kyle Hurst, another guy who hasn't quite been as fast as he usually is, ticking through. Oh, Andrew Wright goes over the left front. Now these two aren't even fighting for position. Kyle will not be overly impressed with that. And are we going to see our first caution of the race?
He's trying his best because he's trying to hold on to a top 10 spot at the moment. Shirley up on the back of him. Look at that front wing damage. That would be impossible to deal with at the moment as McFadden trying to find what's the safest route around the outside of the California Kid.
This looks like something out of the Serengeti right now. The wounded animals just getting picked on by a big pack of hyenas. J-Mac, Shirley, trying to pick up the scraps. Here is your leader. He's lapped Luke Dillon. Goodness me, he is on a charge tonight. The American Racing 29. One thing he does not want is a caution flag. We've seen that in a few races so far where big leads have been dissipated. He's looking very comfortable right now.
Interesting talking to some of the crew for American Racing, for Kinetic Racing. They say, sometimes it does take us a couple of races to get in the groove and all gel together because we're back together again, back in a different soil in Australia. And then as a result, now we're starting to see that gel that they talk about now as Madsen is hitting his straps. This is as good as you'll see Madsen in any form at all. Only got himself one win in World of Outlaws competition this year. That's something he's not particularly proud about, but putting that all behind him, he is set to take an Australian Open.
Now Veal goes around the outside of the Milwaukee, wounded number 17. So he's losing valuable points here, Kyle Hurst. Won't be overly impressed with what went down there with a lap car. Shirley swings past easily. The handling has really gone. It won't just be the front wing that's the problem. That left front, the whole front end will be out of whack. So what points can he salvage tonight, Kyle Hurst?
Salvage, that is the key word, and unfortunately it's a word we keep using for Kyle Hurst. It's just a massive battle for the defending Grand Annual Sprint Car Classic champion. So Madsen, man, not even touched. The other guys in shot at the moment are certainly not the guys who are trying to take that lead off him. Now we start to see a little bit of an emergence of Tatnell. In fact, pretty quick emergence. Has he got time? 2 laps only remain. Is there something that Tatnall can do about this to see if he can get himself another Australian Open? He's got 3. Can he do another one and make it 4? Because that's a big deal to him to have more than Gary Brazier. He's got 3 Australian Opens. It's a bit of a laugh between the two boys, but I don't think he's got enough in it. Kerry Madsen will claim his first Australian Open, and it's on the 20th occasion at Archerfield Speedway.
Hasn't won here in 15 years in World Series action. 2001, his only World Series win here. He doubles up in 2016. Madsen with the left hand, waving to the crowd, gets his first win since returning back to Australia. You need fitness to be able to pull it off, and he has done it. Donnie climbs up for a top 3. Lines just outside the podium. Murcott, what a good drive that was. Hurst unfortunately fell all the way back to 10th.
You'd have to say that that's the Hoosier Hard Charge Award for David Murcott, coming out of 13th to grab 5th. But in the meantime, Bryony Ingerson's with the winner.
Kerry, congratulations. 50 laps. You led 46 of them. You hit lap traffic with 38 to go. You well and truly deserve that 20,000.
Well, I was pushing and I was counting down the laps and I knew that 15 was behind me somewhere, so I was just trying to make no mistakes and push as hard as I could. And mate, I'm ecstatic to get the job done. 20 grand to win 50 laps. We beat the 15. Fantastic night. And I was running the bottom and some of the lap cars were holding a really tight line, so they weren't going to make a mistake. And then one time I got to searching at high end 3 and 4 and got a little sideways, had a look back and saw that there was 3 lap cars on the bottom. I'm like, hey, just get to the bottom, bud, and finish this out. So I'm wrapped. We had guys gave me a great race car, Matt Griffiths, Chris Bauer, Brad Kilgallen, Chris James, just gave me a great race car. I want to thank Bob Gavranich, Pete Gavranich, just for being a part of this team. I'm glad I delivered for them guys tonight. They deserve it. And just all the guys in the organisation, Tyler Swank, back home getting ready, big part of this. Brian Morrison Engine's fantastic, KPC Chassis, just all our suppliers, Outlaw Wings. And it's great to get the job done. I mean, Donnie's definitely put some big benchmarks up, and I'm glad we knocked him off this one.
There's more highlights of World Series Sprintcars to come after the break as we look back on Round 8 from Murray Bridge and Round 9 from the Perth Motorplex.